The Galactic Council chamber was the most important place in the known universe. It was a massive room floating in space inside a giant station. The walls were made of clear crystal, showing the stars outside. 52 different alien species had seats here. Each species sent their best diplomat to represent their people. Today the chamber was buzzing with excitement. Ambassador Kelrith stood at the center podium, his blue skin glowing under the lights. He was tall and proud, wearing the formal robes of his people, the Azurians. He had been a council member for 20 years. Everyone respected him. Everyone trusted him. Council members, Kelrith began, his voice strong and confident. I have important news. My exploration fleet has discovered a new intelligent species. The chamber erupted in whispers. New species were rare. Very rare. Council leader Vexen, an ancient being with silver scales and wise eyes, raised his hand for silence. Tell us, Ambassador Kelrith. Where did you find them? Kelrith pressed a button. A holographic image appeared above the podium. It showed a small blue and green planet, one yellow sun, a single moon. This planet is called Earth, Kelrith explained. It's located in a quiet arm of the galaxy. Very remote. The species calls themselves humans. Humans? Another ambassador repeated, testing the word. Never heard of them. Of course not, Kelrith said with a slight smile. They're completely new. They've never left their own star system. They have no faster-than-light travel. They're very primitive. How primitive? Asked Ambassador Dirwinin, an insect-like creature with multiple eyes. They only have one planet, Kelrith answered. Just Earth. They have some small colonies on their moon and on a nearby red planet they call Mars, but nothing significant. They've barely started exploring space. Vexen studied the holographic image carefully. What is their technology level? Basic, Kelrith replied. They have nuclear power. Simple computers. Chemical rockets. Their weapons are crude. They're maybe 200 years behind us? Perhaps more. And their society? Another ambassador asked. Are they unified? Kelrith shook his head. No. They're divided into almost 200 separate nations. They fight among themselves frequently. Very disorganized. Very emotional. Typical of young species. The council members nodded. They had seen this pattern before with other primitive species. What do you recommend, Ambassador Kelrith? Vexen asked. Kelrith straightened his robes. I recommend first contact. We should welcome them into the galactic community. Teach them our ways. Help them grow beyond their primitive state. It's our duty as the advanced civilizations. Many council members agreed, nodding their heads. It will take time, Kelrith continued. Decades, perhaps centuries. But eventually they can become a productive member species. With guidance, of course. Our guidance. Vexen was about to call for a vote when Kelrith's personal assistant, a younger Azurian named Talus, approached the podium. She looked nervous. Ambassador, Talus whispered urgently. I need to show you something. It's important. Kelrith frowned. Interrupting a council session was very disrespectful. Can't it wait? No, sir. It's about the humans. Kelrith excused himself for a moment and stepped aside with Talus. She showed him a data pad. Sir, I was preparing the first contact files, organizing our records. And I found something strange. What? Kelrith asked impatiently. Human DNA samples in our biological database. From 200 years ago. Kelrith stared at the data pad. That's impossible. We just discovered them. I know, sir. But look, the samples are registered. Properly filed. From multiple human subjects. The dates show they were collected 2 centuries ago from various locations across the galaxy. Kelrith's confidence wavered for just a moment. Then he shook his head. It must be a database error. A contamination. Perhaps another species with similar DNA structure. You know how messy our old records are. But sir. Talus, enough. This is first contact with a primitive species. Don't create problems where none exist. Fix the database error later. Talus looked like she wanted to argue, but she nodded and stepped back. Kelrith returned to the podium, his smile back in place. My apologies, council leader. Where were we? The vote, Vexen said. All in favor of initiating first contact with the species called humans? Every hand went up. Unanimous agreement. Excellent, Vexen declared. Ambassador Kelrith, you discovered them. You will lead the first contact mission. Take your finest ship. Make a good impression. Welcome these humans to the greater galactic community. Kelrith bowed respectfully. It will be an honor, Council Leader. I'll prepare immediately. The session ended. Ambassadors filed out, talking excitedly about the new primitive species that would soon join them. Kelrith walked back to his ship with confidence in every step. This would be his greatest achievement. He would be remembered as the ambassador who brought humanity into civilization. But behind him, Talis followed with the data pad, still worried. She opened the file again, reading more carefully. The human DNA samples weren't just from 200 years ago. As she dug deeper, she found more. 300 years ago. 400 years ago. Sample locations scattered across dozens of planets. Hundreds of planets. She stopped walking, her blood running cold. How long have they been out here? She whispered to herself. She looked up at the stars, suddenly feeling very small. Very ignorant. Somewhere out there, on that small blue planet called Earth, humans were waiting. But Talis had a terrible feeling they weren't waiting to be discovered. They were waiting to be revealed. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Ambassador Kelrith's ship, the Celestial Dawn, was the most beautiful vessel in the Azurian fleet. It was designed for diplomatic missions. Elegant, peaceful, impressive. The hull was polished silver. Energy fields made it glow with soft blue light. When other species saw this ship, they knew important people were aboard. Kelrith stood on the bridge, watching the view screen as they approached the Sol system. That was the human name for their star system. ETA to Earth? Kelrith asked. 15 minutes, Ambassador, his pilot responded. Talis stood beside him, still looking worried. She had been quiet since the council meeting 3 days ago. Talis, you're making me nervous, Kelrith said. What's wrong? Sir, I've been researching more. Those human DNA samples I found? There are thousands of them. From hundreds of different planets. I don't think it's a database error. Kelrith sighed. Talis, look at that planet ahead. Does that look like a species that has visited hundreds of worlds? On the screen, Earth appeared. One small planet. A few satellites orbiting it. Some basic space stations. Nothing impressive. See? Kelrith continued. They're exactly what I said. Primitive. Young. Whatever you found in the database is just old corrupted data. Trust me. But Talis wasn't convinced. She had checked 3 times. The data was real. Approaching Earth orbit now, the pilot announced. Should I send our greeting message? Yes. Use the standard first contact protocol. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The pilot opened a communication channel and broadcast on all frequencies. Greetings, inhabitants of Earth. We are the Celestial Dawn from the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We wish to establish diplomatic relations with your species. They waited. Kelrith expected confusion. Fear maybe. Primitive species usually panicked when they realized aliens existed. But the response came immediately. Instantly. A calm, professional voice answered in perfect galactic standard language. Welcome, Celestial Dawn. This is Earth Diplomatic Command. Welcome, Ambassador Kelrith. We've been expecting you. Kelrith froze. His pilot's hands stopped moving. They know my name? Kelrith whispered. How do they know galactic standard? Talis added. That takes years to learn. The Earth voice continued. We're transmitting landing coordinates now, Ambassador. Please land at Geneva Diplomatic Complex. We have a formal reception prepared. We look forward to meeting you in person. The communication ended. The bridge was silent. This is wrong, Talis said quietly. Primitive species don't have diplomatic complexes. They don't speak our language. They don't know our names. Kelrith's confidence was shaking, but he tried to stay calm. Perhaps they intercepted our communications before? Maybe they prepared? In 3 days? Talis asked. They learned our language in 3 days? Kelrith had no answer. Take us down. Follow their coordinates. Let's meet these humans and see what's really happening here. The Celestial Dawn descended through Earth's atmosphere. As they got closer, Kelrith saw more details. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. But he also saw something else. Something unexpected. Ships. Lots of ships. Not primitive chemical rockets. Real spacecraft. Hundreds of them in orbit. They looked advanced. Very advanced. Pilot, scan those vessels, Kelrith ordered. The pilot worked his controls. His face went pale. Sir, those ships have faster-than-light engines. Energy shields. Advanced weapons. They're as advanced as ours. That's impossible, Kelrith said. But he was starting to doubt everything now. They landed at the Geneva Diplomatic Complex. Through the windows, Kelrith saw an enormous facility. Beautiful buildings. perfectly maintained gardens, and thousands of humans, all lined up in perfect formation waiting. They knew exactly when we'd arrive, Talus noted. Look how organized they are. Kelrith stood up, straightening his robes. Let's go meet them. Stay alert. Something strange is happening here. The ship's door opened. Kelrith stepped out onto a red carpet. The sight took his breath away. 10,000 humans stood at attention. They wore formal uniforms, blue and white with medals and symbols. Military bands played music. Flags waved in the wind. Children held flowers. Cameras recorded everything. This wasn't a primitive species meeting aliens for the first time. This was a professional, organized, prepared diplomatic reception. At the end of the red carpet stood a human woman in a formal suit. She was middle-aged with dark hair and calm eyes. She smiled warmly. Kelrith walked forward, Talus close behind. Ambassador Kelrith, the woman said, bowing respectfully. Welcome to Earth. I am Ambassador Sarah Chin, Director of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. It's an honor to finally meet you in person. Finally? Kelrith caught that word. Have we met before? Chin smiled mysteriously. In a way. Please come inside. We have much to discuss. She turned and began walking toward the main building. Kelrith and Talus followed. As they walked, Kelrith noticed something on the walls. Star maps. Dozens of them. Showing star systems, trade routes, planetary territories. Too many territories. Far too many for a one-planet species. Ambassador Chin, Kelrith said carefully. How long has your species been traveling in space? Honestly. Chin glanced back at him. Her smile didn't fade. Longer than you think, Ambassador. Much longer. They entered a conference room. The walls were covered with screens showing different star systems. Kelrith recognized some of them: Council worlds, trade stations, colony planets. Why are you monitoring Council territories? Kelrith demanded, his fear turning to anger. Monitoring? Chin sat down calmly. Ambassador, we're not just monitoring. We're there. We've been there. For a very long time. Talus pulled out her data pad, hands shaking. Ambassador Chin, I found human DNA samples in our databases. From 200 years ago. From multiple planets. Can you explain that? Chin looked at Talus with respect. You're very thorough. Yes, I can explain. But I don't think you're going to like the answer. She pressed a button. The screens around the room lit up. Each screen showed a different planet. And on each planet there were humans. Living there. Working there. Building there. How many planets do you have? Kelrith whispered, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. Chen's smile faded. She looked serious now. Professional. Ambassador Kelrith, let me ask you a question. When was the last time the Galactic Council made a major decision without any problems? Without any wars? Without any conflicts? Kelrith thought. We've been very stable. Very peaceful. For decades. Exactly, Chin said softly. Don't you think that's strange? 52 different species, all agreeing? All cooperating? All peaceful? Kelrith's blood went cold. He suddenly understood. You, he breathed. It was you. All along. Chin nodded slowly. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. Now let me show you who we really are. Ambassador Chin stood up and walked to the large screen on the wall. Let me start with something simple, she said. Ambassador Kelrith, you represent the Azurian people. Your home world is Azure Prime. Beautiful planet. 3 moons. Purple oceans. Kelrith nodded slowly. Yes. How do you know this? Because we've been there, Chin said simply. We have a trade office in your capital city. Been there for 70 years. Impossible, Kelrith shook his head. I would know if humans were on my planet. Chin smiled. Would you? Tell me, Ambassador, do you know every business owner in your capital? Every trader? Every merchant? Kelrith didn't answer. Of course he didn't. We don't announce ourselves, Chin continued. We just blend in. We open shops. We trade goods. We make friends. We help when needed. Most species never ask where we come from. They just accept us. Talus was frantically checking her data pad. Ambassador Chin, according to our business registry, there's a company called Terra Trading Solutions operating in 17 Azurian cities. Terra. That's Latin for Earth, isn't it? Chin nodded. Very good. Yes, that's one of our companies. We have about 40 different company names. Different names for different regions. It's easier that way. Kelrith felt dizzy. Why? Why hide? Why not just introduce yourselves properly? Because 300 years ago we tried that, Chin said, her voice becoming serious. We sent an ambassador to the council. We said, hello, we're humans from Earth. We'd like to join you. Do you know what happened? What? Kelrith asked. War, Chin said quietly. 3 different species claimed our territory. They fought over who would control us. Thousands died. We decided that day, never again. We would join the galaxy but quietly, peacefully, without causing conflict. The room was silent. Chin pressed another button. The screen showed a timeline. For 300 years we've been slowly spreading across the galaxy, building relationships, making friends, helping civilizations grow. But you said you're primitive. Kelrith protested. No faster than light travel. 1 planet. We said Earth appears primitive, Chin corrected gently. We never said we were. It's easier to let people think we're new. Less threatening that way. Kelrith's mind was racing. He tried to remember his diplomatic training. Stay calm. Ask questions. Get information. How many planets do you have, Ambassador Chin? Honestly. Chin looked at him for a long moment. We don't have planets, Ambassador. We don't believe in ownership. We share planets. We live alongside other species. We estimate there are human communities on about 200 worlds. 200. Talus shouted, then immediately apologized. Sorry? But 200 planets? With other species. Most species don't realize we're different, Chin explained. We adapt. We learn their customs. We speak their languages. Some species think we're refugees from another world. Others think we're just a widespread trading species. Very few know we all come from one home world, Earth. Kelrith stood up, angry now. This is deception. You've been lying to the entire galaxy for 3 centuries. No, Chin said firmly. We've been protecting the galaxy for 3 centuries. There's a difference. Protecting? Kelrith laughed bitterly. From what? Chin's expression changed. She looked tired suddenly. Older. From themselves, she said quietly. From war. From hatred. From destruction. Do you know how many conflicts we've quietly stopped? How many wars we prevented before they started? She pulled up another screen. It showed a long list of conflicts. Hundreds of them. The Vorten-Kelson border dispute 50 years ago, Chin read. It was about to become a war. Millions would have died. But a human mediator working for a neutral company suggested a compromise. Both sides accepted. Peace. She scrolled down. The Draxian food crisis, 30 years ago. An entire species was starving. The council was too slow to respond. Human aid ships arrived in 3 days. We saved them. She kept scrolling. The Zephan mining accident 10 years ago. Collapsed mine. Hundreds trapped. Human rescue teams with advanced equipment saved them all. Kelrith stared at the list. It went on and on. You've been helping? He asked, confused. That's all we've ever wanted to do, Chin said. Help. Guide. Protect. We never wanted power. We never wanted control. We just wanted the galaxy to be better. Talus looked up from her data pad, her face white. Sir. I'm finding human involvement in almost every major council decision for the last century. What do you mean? Kelrith demanded. The peace treaty with the Metherians, a human lawyer drafted it. The trade agreement reforms, a human economist advised on them. The colony placement guidelines, humans suggested the safety distances. She kept reading, her voice getting higher. The healthcare improvements. The education standards. The anti-piracy patrols. Humans. 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 Every single major success the council has had, humans were involved somehow. Kelrith sat down slowly. His legs felt weak. You've been controlling us, he whispered. No, Chin insisted. We've been helping you. Every decision the council made, you made freely. We just provided information. Suggestions. Advice. You were always free to ignore us. You chose to listen. Because we didn't know. Kelrith shouted. If we knew you were the same species, the same organization, you would have rejected our help because of pride, Chin finished. Yes. That's why we stayed quiet. Kelrith put his head in his hands. His entire understanding of the galaxy was falling apart. Ambassador Chin walked over and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Ambassador Kelrith, I know this is difficult. But ask yourself one question. Is the galaxy better now than it was 300 years ago? Kelrith looked up at her. Yes, he admitted. We've had the most peaceful, prosperous era in recorded history. Because of humans, Chin said softly. Not controlling you. Helping you. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the building. A human officer burst into the room. Ambassador Chin. Emergency. Pirate attack in Sector 7. 3 civilian transports under fire. Heavy casualties expected. Chin's face hardened. She immediately walked to a communication panel. Dispatch rapid response fleet. Authorization Chin Alpha 7. Go now. The officer saluted and ran out. Kalrith stood up. Wait, you have military fleets? Ready to deploy? Chin pressed buttons on a screen. We protect the galaxy, Ambassador. That means being ready. The screen showed space. Sector 7. 3 small ships were being chased by pirates. Then, suddenly, 6 human warships appeared out of nowhere. They moved like lightning. Within seconds, the pirates were destroyed. The civilian ships were safe. Sector 7 is 200 light-years from Earth, Kalrith said slowly. How did your ships get there so fast? Chin looked at him. Because we're already there. We're everywhere, Ambassador. We always have been. Kalrith felt like the floor was falling away beneath him. Who are you people? He whispered. Kalrith couldn't sleep that night. Ambassador Chin had given him and Talus guest quarters in the diplomatic complex. The rooms were comfortable, beautiful even. But Kalrith just sat by the window, staring out at Earth's night sky. Below him, he saw a massive city lit up with millions of lights. Vehicles moved through the air. Spaceships launched from nearby ports. This was not a primitive planet. This was an advanced civilization. How had the galaxy missed this? A knock on his door broke his thoughts. Come in, Kalrith said. Talus entered, carrying her data pad. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Sir, I've been researching all night. It's worse than we thought. Worse? Human corporations own 30% of all shipping companies in the galaxy. Human banks finance most major construction projects. Human security companies protect half the council stations. Kalrith closed his eyes. They're everywhere. But nobody notices because they use different company names. Different identities. Is brilliant really? Terrifying but brilliant. Another knock. This time it was Ambassador Chin. Good morning, Ambassador Kalrith, she said cheerfully. I hope you slept well. I thought you might like a tour of our operations center. So you can better understand what we do. Kalrith stood up. Yes. I want to see everything. Then follow me, Chin smiled. They took an elevator down. Very far down. Underground. Why is it buried? Talus asked. Security, Chin answered simply. And privacy. What we do here is sensitive. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Kalrith stepped out and froze. The room was enormous. The size of a football field. Hundreds of humans worked at stations, each station with multiple screens. The walls were covered with giant displays showing different parts of the galaxy. Welcome to Earth Command and Coordination Center, Chin announced. Or as we call it, ECCC. Kalrith walked forward slowly, staring at everything. One screen showed the Vorton home world. Another showed the Draxian colonies. Another showed the border between Kelson and Matherian space. There were screens for every council species. Every major colony. Every important trade route. You're watching everything, Kalrith whispered. Monitoring, Chin corrected. Not watching. There's a difference. We're not spying on anyone's private lives. We're watching for problems. Threats. Situations where we can help. She walked to a nearby station. For example, this officer is monitoring asteroid movements near the Zephan mining colonies. If any asteroid drifts into a dangerous orbit, we warn them. She moved to another station. This officer tracks pirate activity. When pirates attack, we respond. Like you did in Sector 7 yesterday, Kalrith said. Exactly. Talus was looking at a different screen. This one is showing council voting records. Why do you need that? A human officer at that station answered. We study voting patterns to understand political trends. If we see tensions rising between species, we can prepare mediation resources. Mediation resources? Kalrith asked. You mean manipulation? No, Chin said firmly. We mean solutions. When two species disagree, we research the problem. We develop fair compromises. Then we suggest them through neutral third parties. The species always choose whether to accept or not. Kalrith walked to the center of the room. He turned in a circle, looking at all the screens. So much information. So much coordination. How many people work here? He asked. In this facility? About 2,000, Chin answered. But we have similar centers on 40 other worlds. About 80,000 people total in our coordination network. 80,000 people, Talus repeated, amazed. Just watching the galaxy? Protecting the galaxy, Chin corrected again. Suddenly an alarm sounded. Not loud but urgent. Report, Chin called out. A young human officer stood up. Ma'am, sensors detecting unusual military movements in the Kelson sector. 15 warships moving toward the Vorten border. Kelritha's blood went cold. The Kelson and Vorten had been enemies for generations. A military buildup could mean war. Expand view, Chin ordered. The main screen changed, showing both Kelson and Vorten space. Kelrith could see the Kelson ships moving. They were definitely heading toward Vorten territory. Are they going to attack? Talus asked. Chin studied the screen carefully. I don't think so. The formation is wrong for an attack. This looks like a patrol? But too many ships for a normal patrol. She pressed the communication button. Get me our liaison in Kelson space. I want to know what's happening. Within 2 minutes, a communication came through. The voice was human, but speaking the Kelson language. Ambassador Chin, this is Agent Torres. I'm at a Kelson military base. I just learned they received intelligence about a pirate base near the Vorten border. They're sending ships to destroy it. Do the Vortens know? Chin asked. No, ma'am. The Kelson didn't inform them. They thought it would be faster to just handle it themselves. Chin's face showed concern. But if the Vortens see 15 Kelson warships approaching their border without warning, they'll think it's an invasion, Kelrith finished. They'll mobilize their own military. It could start a war by accident. Chin immediately began giving orders. Contact our Vorten liaison. Explain the situation. Tell them it's a pirate hunt, not an invasion. Then contact the Kelson military command. Suggest they send a diplomatic message to the Vortens first. Make it clear this is cooperation, not aggression. Yes, ma'am. Officers moved quickly, making calls, sending messages. Kelrith watched in amazement as Chin coordinated everything. Within 10 minutes, the situation was resolved. The Kelson sent a message to the Vortens. The Vortens sent ships to help hunt the pirates together. What could have been a war became a joint operation. You just stopped a war, Kelrith said quietly. We stopped a misunderstanding, Chin replied. This happens more often than you'd think. Species don't communicate well. They make assumptions. We help fill in the gaps. How many times? Kelrith asked. How many times have you done this? Chin looked at him seriously. This month? 12 times. This year? Over 200. In the last 300 years? We stopped counting after 10,000. The room spun. Kelrith had to sit down. 10,000 wars prevented. 10,000 conflicts resolved. All quietly. All secretly. The council thinks we're good at diplomacy, Kelrith said slowly. We think we're peaceful. We're proud of our 300 years of stability. But it wasn't us, was it? Was you. All along. You made us peaceful. Chin sat beside him. No, Ambassador. You chose peace. Every time. We just made it easier to choose. We provided information. We created opportunities. But the choice was always yours. Kelrith looked at her. What happens now? Now that I know the truth? Chin was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that depends on what you do with this information. You could tell the council. Expose us. Create chaos. Or you could understand that what we're doing works. The galaxy is better because of it. And maybe we can finally work together. Openly. Kelrith stood up, his mind made up. I need to report this to the council, he said. They deserve to know. Chin nodded slowly. I understand. When would you like to return? Immediately. I need to call an emergency council session. Very well, Chin said. But Ambassador? Be careful how you explain this. The truth can be dangerous. Kelritha's ship, the Celestial Dawn, lifted off from Earth 3 hours later. As they climbed through the atmosphere, Kelrith stared at the planet below. It looked so peaceful. So innocent. But now he knew the truth. That small blue planet controlled most of the galaxy. Sir, are you all right? Talus asked quietly. No, Kelrith answered honestly. I'm not. Everything I believed about the galaxy is wrong. He turned to his crew. Listen carefully. We need to investigate the humans. I want proof of everything they told us. Search every database we have access to. Look for human presence anywhere in the galaxy. Companies, ships, colonies, everything. His crew looked confused. Sir, the humans said they're primitive, one officer said. What are we investigating? They lied, Kelrith said simply. Now find me the truth. For the next 6 hours the crew worked. They searched trade registries, business licenses, ship movements, colony records, banking transactions, everything. And what they found terrified them. Sir, one crew member called out. I found a company called Blue Planet Trading, operating in 70 different systems. The owner is registered as Terra Corporation. Terra means Earth in their old language. I found more, another said. Stellar Solutions, New World Enterprises, Sol System Industries, all connected to Earth, all operating for decades. Talus pulled up a star map. Sir, look at this. Human settlements marked in blue. The map lit up with blue dots. Hundreds of them. Thousands. This can't be right, Kelrith whispered. I verified it 3 times, Talus said, her voice shaking. It's correct. Humans are on 247 worlds. Not 200 like Ambassador Chin said. 247. Another crew member spoke up. Sir, I'm finding something else. Human advisors in government positions. I found one working for the Azurian Science Ministry. That's our government. What? Kelrith shouted. Show me. The officer displayed a file. Dr. Sarah Williams. Hired 15 years ago as a technology consultant. She advised on our new energy systems, our communication networks, our medical equipment. I know her. Kelrith said, shocked. I met her at a government dinner. She said she was from a remote Azurian colony. She lied, sir. She's from Earth. And she's not the only one. I'm finding humans in positions of influence in almost every council government. Kelrith felt sick. They infiltrated us. Not infiltrated, Talus corrected quietly. Integrated. They're not hiding. They're not spying. They applied for jobs. They were hired based on skill. Nobody thought to ask if they were all connected. The science officer pulled up financial records. Ambassador, this is worse. Human banks provide loans for almost every major project in the galaxy. The new medical center on Vorta Prime? Human-funded. The agricultural stations on Draxia? Human-funded. The trade hub at Station Epsilon? Human-funded. How much money are we talking about? Kelrith asked. The officer did calculations. His face went pale. Trillions of credits, sir. Maybe more. They're financing the entire galaxy. The room was silent. Kelrith grabbed his communication panel. I need to contact the council. Now. Council leader Vexen answered immediately. Ambassador Kelrith? Your first contact mission finished already? Council leader, I need an emergency session. All members. Immediately. An emergency? What? Did something go wrong with the humans? Everything went wrong, Kelrith said. The humans aren't what we thought. They're not primitive. They're not isolated. They're everywhere. They've been here for 300 years. Silence on the other end. Kelrith, are you feeling well? Vexen asked carefully. Perhaps the stress of first contact. I'm not crazy. Kelrith shouted. Listen to me. I have proof. The humans have colonies on hundreds of planets. They own companies across the galaxy. They have people working in our governments. That's impossible, Vexen said firmly. We would know. That's what I thought too. But we didn't know because they hid it. They used different names. Different identities. We never connected them all together. Another council member joined the call, Ambassador Drwenen. Kelrith, I'm listening. What exactly are you claiming? I'm claiming the humans have been secretly guiding the galaxy for 3 centuries. Every major decision we've made, they influenced. Every peace treaty, every trade agreement, every technological advance, humans were involved somehow. Prove it, Drwenen said. Talus. Kelrith called. Send them the data. Everything we found. Talus transferred the files. On the other end, council members began reviewing them. The silence stretched on. And on. Finally, Vexen spoke. His voice was different now. Uncertain. This can't all be the same species. It is, Kelrith insisted. I was there. On Earth. I saw their coordination center. They monitor everything. They respond to threats in minutes. They have fleets positioned across the galaxy. Fleets? Another council member joined the call. What kind of fleets? Military fleets. Advanced warships. I watched them destroy a pirate base in Sector 7 yesterday. It took them 5 minutes. More silence. Ambassador Drwenen spoke carefully. Kelrith, if what you're saying is true, if humans really do have this much presence in the galaxy, why didn't they just conquer us? They could have done it easily. Because they don't want to conquer, Kelrith said. They want to help. That's what Ambassador Chin kept saying. They're not controlling us, they're protecting us. From what? Vexen asked. From ourselves. From wars. From conflicts. From mistakes. They've been quietly preventing disasters for 300 years. The peace we're so proud of? It's not because we're diplomatic. It's because humans have been working behind the scenes to keep us peaceful. More council members were joining the call now. Word was spreading fast. This is outrageous, one ambassador said. We've been manipulated. Or saved, another argued. Look at the data. The galaxy is more prosperous now than ever before. Because they made us prosperous. Without asking. Without permission. Arguments erupted. Everyone talking at once. Vexen's voice cut through. Silence. Everyone stopped. Kelrith, Vexen said slowly. What do you recommend? An emergency council session. Tomorrow. All members. And we need to invite the humans. The real humans. We need answers. Vexen was quiet for a moment. Then, agreed. I'm calling the session now. All council members will attend. And I'll send an official invitation to Earth. Do you think they'll come? Someone asked. They'll come, Kelrith said. They've been waiting 300 years for this conversation. Across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire. Emergency Council Session. Topic: Humanity's true role in the galaxy. On Earth, Ambassador Chin received the invitation. She read it carefully, then smiled sadly. It's time, she said to her team. Prepare the full disclosure files. They want the truth? We'll give them the truth. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Every ambassador was present. Every species. All 52 seats were filled. Behind them stood advisors, military leaders, scientists. Everyone wanted to witness this historic moment. Council leader Vexen sat at the center, looking older than usual. The weight of this meeting showed on his silver scales. This session will come to order, Vexen announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. We are here to discuss humanity, their true nature, their true presence in our galaxy. Murmurs filled the room. Fear, anger, confusion. Ambassador Kelrith, Vexen continued. Present your findings. Kelrith stood. He looked tired but determined. Council members, 3 days ago I went to Earth expecting to meet primitives. Instead, I discovered the greatest deception in galactic history. He activated the holographic display. Blue dots appeared across the galaxy. Hundreds of them. Human colonies. 247 worlds. Human companies. Over 3,000 operating across the galaxy. Human advisors in government positions. Hundreds. Human financial institutions funding our infrastructure. Trillions of credits invested. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. They've been here for 300 years. Kelrith shouted over the noise. Hiding. Pretending to be different species. Manipulating us. That's a strong word, a calm voice said from the entrance. Everyone turned. Ambassador Sarah Chin walked in, flanked by 2 other humans. She wore a formal Earth diplomatic uniform, blue and white with the Earth insignia on her shoulder. She walked confidently to the center of the chamber. Manipulating suggests we forced you to do things against your will, Chin said clearly. We never did that. You lied, an alien ambassador shouted. You deceived us. We protected ourselves, Chin responded. And in doing so we protected all of you. Vexen raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Chin, you were invited here to explain. So explain. Why did humanity hide from us for 3 centuries? Chin took a deep breath. Because 300 years ago, when we first tried to join the galaxy openly, 3 species went to war over who would control us. Thousands died. We learned a hard lesson that day. The galaxy isn't ready for honest newcomers. It's too competitive. Too territorial. She pressed a button. The holographic display changed, showing old footage of ships fighting. Explosions. That was the first contact war, Chin said quietly. Fought over Earth. We didn't want war. We just wanted to say hello. But saying hello caused disaster. The chamber was silent now. Everyone watched. So we made a choice, Chin continued. We would join the galaxy anyway. But quietly. Slowly. 1 person at a time. We sent traders. Scientists. Doctors. Teachers. They lived among you. Learned from you. Helped you. Infiltrated us, someone muttered. No, Chin said firmly. Lived with you. There's a difference. We didn't spy on your secrets. We didn't sabotage your governments. We applied for jobs. We started businesses. We made friends. We became part of your communities. Taylor stood up from where she sat beside Kelrith. But you coordinated everything. We saw your command center. You monitor all of us. Chin nodded. Yes, we monitor. Because we care. We watch for problems so we can help solve them before they become disasters. She changed the display again. This time it showed a long list. Thousands of entries. These are conflicts we helped prevent, Chin said. Wars that almost started but didn't. Famines we helped stop. Diseases we helped cure. Accidents we helped prevent. Over 10,000 interventions in 300 years. Ambassador Dirwenen, the insect-like creature, spoke up. The Draxian food crisis. 30 years ago. My people were starving. Human ships brought food. You saved millions of my people. We did, Chin confirmed. Why? Dirwenen asked, his multiple eyes blinking with emotion. Why help us? What did you gain? Chin smiled sadly. We gained nothing. That was never the point. We helped because it was right. Because we could. Because we believed the galaxy should be better. But you controlled us, another ambassador shouted. Every decision we made, you influenced it. We suggested solutions, Chin corrected. You always chose whether to accept them. Always. We never forced anything. She looked around the room at every face. Let me ask you all something. Has the last 300 years been good for your species? Are you more prosperous now than before? More peaceful? More advanced? Silence. Everyone knew the answer was yes. That's because of cooperation, Chin said. Not control. We suggested. You listened. Together we built something beautiful. Vexen stood up slowly. Ambassador Chin, how much of the galaxy do you truly influence? Chin looked him in the eyes. About 65%. Gasps filled the chamber. 65%? Vexen repeated. You control 65% of known space? We don't control it, Chin insisted. We're present in it. We participate in it. We help protect it. But we don't rule it. You rule yourselves. You always have. An older ambassador, one of the founding council members, spoke up. His voice was weak but wise. Young human, answer me honestly. Could you have conquered us? If you wanted to? Chin was quiet for a moment. Then, yes, we could have. Our military is strong enough. But we never wanted to conquer. We wanted to belong. There's a difference. She activated one final display. It showed the galaxy but this time in different colors. Blue for human presence. Red for conflicts. Green for prosperity. Look, Chin said. Where we are present, conflicts decrease. Prosperity increases. Species work together better. Not because we force them to, but because we facilitate cooperation. The red zones were mostly far from blue. The green zones matched the blue almost perfectly. The evidence was undeniable. Kelrith spoke again. So what do you want from us now? Now that we know the truth. Chin turned to face the entire council. We want partnership. Real partnership. Open. Honest. No more hiding. We're tired of working in shadows. We want to work with you in the light. Together. She paused. The question is, do you want that too? The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Ambassador Chen's question hung in the air. Do you want partnership with us? Nobody spoke. Everyone was thinking. Processing. Deciding. Finally, an ambassador stood up. It was Ambassador Dirwenen, the insect-like creature whose people had been saved during the food crisis. I vote yes, Dirwenen said simply. Humans saved my people. They asked for nothing in return. That is not the behavior of conquerors. That is the behavior of friends. Another ambassador stood. I vote no. They deceived us for 300 years. How can we trust deceivers? More ambassadors stood, each declaring their position. The chamber divided. Half supporting humanity. Half opposing. Kelrith sat quietly listening to everyone argue. Talus leaned over to him. Sir, what will you vote? She whispered. Kelrith didn't answer immediately. He was thinking about everything he had seen. The command center. The prevented wars. The saved lives. Ambassador Chen's tired eyes when she talked about 300 years of hiding. Finally he stood up. I vote yes, Kelrith said loudly. The chamber went quiet. Everyone looked at him. He was the one who had exposed humanity. If he voted yes, it meant something. Ambassador Kelrith, Vexen said carefully. You discovered their deception. You called this emergency session. Why do you now support them? Kelrith walked to the center of the chamber, standing beside Chin. Because I understand now, Kelrith said. They didn't deceive us to hurt us. They deceived us to save us. From ourselves. He looked around at all the council members. 300 years ago we would have fought over them. We would have treated them like property. Like resources to control. They knew this. So they hid. Not to manipulate us but to avoid becoming our next war. He activated his own data pad showing statistics. Look at these numbers. Before humans arrived, our galaxy had an average of 50 major conflicts per year. Wars. Territorial disputes. Resource battles. In the last 100 years? 5 per year. 5. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Child mortality rates have dropped 60% across all species. Life expectancy has increased. Technology has advanced faster. Trade has grown. We thought this was because we were getting wiser. Better. More civilized. He paused. But it wasn't just us. It was them. Quietly helping. Quietly guiding. Quietly protecting. While we took all the credit. An ambassador stood up angrily. So we're fools? Puppets? Dancing to human strings? No, Kelrith said firmly. We're the beneficiaries of kindness. There's a difference. He turned to Chin. Ambassador Chin, may I ask you a question? Of course, Chin said. In 300 years, how many times did humans use military force offensively? To conquer? To take resources? Chin answered immediately. 0 times. We've defended against pirates. Rescued civilians. Protected trade routes. But we've never attacked to gain territory or resources. Not once. 0 times, Kelrith repeated, looking at the council. In 300 years. They had the power to conquer us all. They chose not to. That tells me everything I need to know about their character. Vexen stood up slowly. The ancient leader looked at Chin, then at Kelrith, then at all the council members. I am very old, Vexen said quietly. I have seen many species rise and fall. I have seen empires built on conquest. I have seen alliances built on fear. But this is different. He walked to the center, joining Kelrith and Chin. Humans have been among us for 3 centuries. They could have revealed themselves at any time. They could have demanded power, seats on this council, territory, resources. They asked for nothing. They just helped. Vexen looked directly at Chin. Why? Why did you help us without asking for anything in return? Chin's eyes became wet with tears. Because helping is its own reward. Because we believe every species deserves a chance to grow. To thrive. To reach their potential. We didn't want to rule you. We wanted to see you succeed. Vexen nodded slowly. Then I vote yes. I vote for partnership. Open. Honest. Equal. One by one more ambassadors stood up. Yes. 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 The tide had turned. 3 months later the galaxy was different. The Galactic Council had been reformed. It was now called the Galactic Partnership. Earth had a permanent seat. But they weren't the leaders. They were equal partners. Human advisors were now openly identified. No more hiding. No more secret identities. Species knew who they were working with and most were grateful. The command centers on Earth and other worlds were now connected to council systems. Transparency. Cooperation. Trust. Kelrith stood in the newly redesigned council chamber beside Ambassador Chin. They had become close friends over the past months. Do you regret it? Kelrith asked. Being exposed? Losing your anonymity? Chin smiled. No. We're tired of hiding. This is better. Harder but better. Some species still don't trust you, Kelrith said. I know. Trust takes time. We'll earn it. One day at a time. On the main screen they watched a joint human-Azurian mission launching. Building a new space station together. Openly. Proudly. What happens now? Kelrith asked. Chin looked at the screen at the ships working together. Now we build the future. Together. No secrets. No shadows. Just partnership. She turned to Kelrith. Your people and my people working side by side. All the species of the galaxy cooperating. Sharing. Growing. That's what we always wanted. What about new species? Kelrith asked. When we discover them? We welcome them, Chin said. Honestly. No deception. We tell them the truth. The galaxy is big, beautiful, and sometimes dangerous. But they're not alone. We're all here to help each other. Kelrith smiled. That's a better way. It's the only way, Chin agreed. Far away on a small colony world, a human teacher stood before a classroom of alien children. Different species. Different colors. Different shapes. Today, the teacher said, we're going to learn about history. About how our galaxy almost destroyed itself with wars and conflicts. And how we learned to work together instead. A small alien child raised their hand. Teacher, why did it take so long? The teacher smiled. Because learning to trust is hard. Learning to cooperate is hard. But it's worth it. Because together we can do amazing things. The child thought about that. What kind of things? Anything, the teacher said. Absolutely anything. In the end, the galaxy learned a simple truth. Power comes in many forms. Humans didn't conquer with weapons. They conquered with kindness. They didn't rule through force. They ruled through friendship. And that made all the difference. The galaxy was no longer a collection of competing species. It was a family. And families worked together. Always.